What's up? Welcome back to Exit Without Selling. I'm here with my co-author, Luke Mardigan. And Luke, today, it's Dream Team time, baby. We're going to talk about the Dream Team. How do you build this elusive Dream Team? But first, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Original OG basketball Dream Team.
Like the Olympics Dream Team.
The Olympics Dream Team.
Okay.
Out of all of them, you can only pick one today. Who do you pick?
Like who's my first pick on the team?
Who's your first pick?
It's tough because Magic Johnson's from Lansing.
Ooh.
Like he literally grew up, I don't know, 5 minutes from where I grew
Went
up.
to MSU, right?
But how do you not pick MJ?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm even wearing Jordans today. Like, how do you not pick MJ? He's the GOAT. I'm going MJ all day.
Are you an MJ guy or are you a LeBron guy?
MJ.
All day.
Of course. I watched LeBron play, and I'm an MJ guy.
Deal.
I don't want him coming after me.
I think it's hard to argue with that, but for the sake of Luke not getting mauled by LeBron, we'll continue. So, Luke, do you want to tee this up with Mark's story, just so people have a little bit of context for why building a dream team matters so much?
Yeah. So it's a financial advisor in Ohio. He walks into it. He's having some weird feelings in his chest. So he goes to the doctor, finds out he has a genetic defect that makes a valve flow both ways or something. I'm not a cardiologist, so something bad. Sounds pretty rough. And the doctor said, bad news, you have this genetic defect in your heart. You're lucky you made it this long. I'm shocked no one saw it before. We have to have emergency surgery. We're bringing you into surgery in 72 hours. You have 72 hours to get all your affairs in order. And after the surgery, you are not allowed to work for 6 months at all. You cannot get your heart rate over 100 beats per minute, because if you do, you'll undo the surgery and you'll bleed out before the ambulance even gets to your house. So this is high stakes. This is real. This isn't like, I want to take a 2-week vacation. This is like, you are going to die if you work. They took his laptop, took his BlackBerry at the time. Just to show you how long ago this was. Took his BlackBerry. Wife took the keys to the office, and he had 72 hours to figure out how to transition everything he knew and all of his authority to his team, so that he still had a business there when he got back. And thankfully the surgery was successful. And what's wild is he came back after that 6 months, and his business grew by 55%, something like that, some crazy number. We put that exact number in the book. And what he realized was, when under that amount of pressure, with everything on the line, the highest of stakes, he was able to figure out how to run a business without him. And that's really what Exit Without Selling is. It's working 10 hours less a week. In this instance, he didn't work for 6 months. Spending 80% of your time in your 3 zones of genius while your dream team runs the company profitably. And that's exactly what Mark did. And that's what we're going to talk about doing today, and introduce some of those concepts to our audience.
You know what I love about that story too? He came back and he got an offer, I believe, to buy his business that was higher than what he had previously gotten before, which he didn't accept, as far as I'm aware, because why would he?
No, he didn't.
He'd already proven that his team.
Today.
He'd already proven that his team could run the business profitably up to that point. So why would you let it go at that point?
He exited without selling.
He exited without selling.
Passive income and doing what he enjoys to do.
So what you're saying is, this is not a fantasy; it's actually possible.
And it's not just possible just for my story or your story. This is something we're doing in dozens and dozens of businesses, and we've done in hundreds over the last 8 years.
So if you were to look at that story, what do you think is the lesson from that story that the average business owner needs to internalize, that tees them up to think about how they should even apply this?
If they could imagine, so in this instance, what Mark could do is he felt it, and it was real, right? It was real. And so if our listeners could feel how it would feel when you've exited without selling, knowing that you neither have to exit without sell, and you have the exact dream team already into your hands, already executing in the structure that they need to, so that you don't have to worry about any of the day-to-day in your business. That feeling is what we want them to get today. Because cognitively, we can come up with a million excuses why we'll never get free from our business and why my dream team can never run it. And I love my son who works for me, but I don't know if he has what it takes, because he's not me. And as much as my daughter's capable and she's doing a great job, I have my reservations. And as much as my current lead tech is doing a pretty good job, I don't know if he could be a project manager. There's not enough money in the budget.
Right.
I can't afford it.
Yeah. Can't hire all these people I need.
But if you had 72 hours to figure it all out, because you're not going to be able to work for the next 6 months, you would figure out a way. And this is what I believe. Our listeners already, they have incredible judgment. They've been holding a business together that most people could never even dream of keeping together. They've done things that their friends and family who are working 9-to-5s and factory jobs couldn't even imagine doing. They think so far outside of the box. They think differently than other people. they show up with real strength and power and lead their teams, I believe they already have the judgment ability to know exactly what it's needed to get there. And that's the power of Mark's story, is that he already knew all that was already inside him. He knew exactly what it would take to get the business not relying upon him. He just needed that pivotal moment, a real life emergency, to get him to finally take action on it.
A catalyst, right?
Yes.
And for a lot of owners, the goal is for that catalyst not to be a health event, right?
Ideally.
Not to be a major health event, right? Because you may not have the 72 hours that Mark had, right? So I think for a lot of owners, this is very relevant right now because they're sort of subconsciously asking this, but they never have had an impetus. They've never had that catalyst and so my hope is that this is the catalyst.
Maybe not yet, but like even for me, my dad passed away at 48 of a heart attack. I just did some blood work to get all my blood markers again after getting it 3 months ago.
Dude, that's crazy. I'm literally about to get tested for hard plaque because my dad had stents put in his early 50s. Yeah.
It's like, so I already know at 41 that I'm not that far away, and that what my dad did to sustain his business, because he was an owner-operator truck driver, it's not what I can do, right? So I already did in the insurance agency. We're doing it next without selling. And for our listeners, you already know that if you haven't had a heart attack, if you haven't had a health scare, you already know what that, for me, what 48 is for me. You already have that in your mind, and you're just trying to pretend it doesn't exist. And we have this incredible ability as humans to believe that it's going to get better, even when all the evidence shows it's not. And so today, let's talk about how we are actually going to get better and have the business rely upon us less by building this dream team.
So I think the frame for this in my mind is design, right?
Yeah, I like
it's
that.
intention. One of the biggest markers I've seen between people before engaging with Exit Without Selling and after, whether it's the book or one of our clients, is a high degree of intention, right? Before, they weren't really aimless, but they just felt kind of stuck.
Yep.
And then afterwards, there was a high degree of intention. That's really the difference in my mind between a team that's constructed ad hoc, as needed. It's reactive. It's sort of like, well, we don't really need that role yet. I can just kind of do it myself. So-and-so's, half doing it, so hopefully it's fine. We'll deal with that later. To what would it actually take to architect a team, a dream team, where every function is owned by a leader you trust, who you have given delegated authority to. And I think that's the frame for today is design, right? And intention over ad hoc and reactive structure. You're an organizational expert though, so talk a little bit about that.
Well, so that's the challenge, is that when you look at the market right now, like you see so many people who are exit coaches or scaling coaches, and I'm going to set scaling.com and Dr. Ben Hardy aside. They're in a category of one. Their framework's phenomenal. Can't recommend it enough. But for your average person whose claim is scaling, what they're really talking about is grind 2.0. It's really still everything with you at the center of it. It just has like a different flavor to it. And when you're discussing building a dream team, we have to kind of take everybody through this process. It's not about what Grind 2.0 talks about. It's not about tactics. It's not about strategy. It's actually about structure of the business. Because for better or worse, when we start businesses, I did this in my insurance agency, I'm sure you did in real estate, we kind of build it ad hoc. So it's like we show up and you're an electrician and you're a guy who is really good at doing electrical work and working for somebody else, and you said to yourself, it's like the classic E-Myth story, right? I could do it better than my current boss, or I just don't want to work for my current boss. So you go on your own. And of course, Aunt Susie hires you, right, to change your chandelier, and you pick up a job here, and all of a sudden momentum comes, and you're like, whoa, I have more work than I can do. So what's the next step? Well, either I need to hire somebody to handle my paperwork for me, like my billing and answering the phone, or I need to hire another tech. So whatever decision you make, go hire another tech. And so now that tech's kind of with you on every job. And then it gets to the point where they have more work. The two of you have, now you got to split up. Now you're going to two different job sites. Now you both need assistant techs. Now, not only can you not handle all the work, but you can't answer the phone anymore. So then you hire, and on and on and on and on and on, right? Until you have this like hub and spoke model where you're at the center of the wheel and the spoke is tying everything together to keep the wheel as one piece. And there's nothing wrong with it. We're not sitting in a seat of judgment saying, oh my gosh, you're such a loser that you built your business that way. You didn't know any better.
It's how almost all business owners fall into this. This is exactly where most business owners are.
You kind of look at other models and you kind of go, I think I kind of like theirs a little better. Or a lot of times it's chance, right? It's like, well, I hired the person to answer the phones first because my sister-in-law was available and she had been doing it for another business. And so I just hired her and now she's my office manager 15 years later. And that's literally the story of how they built the business. But what most business owners don't understand is all the things they did where they showed up with really strong judgment, strength, leadership skills. They held things together when other people would fall apart. That served them to get them where they're at today. But that doesn't have to be their story for the next season. This next season can be about you leading a dream team who gets the same fulfillment from owning a part of your business as you did when you started the business and started building it all out.
Yeah, and on the dream team concept, right? I think what most people are thinking probably in their head is how do I know who I need? That's one of the most common questions people ask, right? Because they're still in that space of like, what's the next step? And I talk about this later on in the book, but I actually think the next best step is your best step is BS, right? It's actually the wrong way to think about it. The right way to think about it is actually from that exit to vision we talked about before. When you actually go forward into this future version of yourself and the business, that's what you need to reverse engineer the structure from. You actually, so to use Mark's story as an analogy, his impossible goal or his exit to vision was he functionally had to be absent from the business for 6 months. And we call this the 6-month absence test, which is if you don't have an exit to vision yet, it's a great frame to start with. Yeah. It's just like, what would the team need to look like? What are all the roles that would be needed to run the business profitably if I had to be absent for 6 months?
And not from a strategic perspective, from a structural perspective, right? What is the function of the business that has to have a structure to support it?
Yep.
That if I'm gone, I'm one of those structural beams in the house collapse.
Yep.
So I need to replace that structural beam with someone else. The structure needs to be supported, right? And for him, I would even rephrase his goal a little different. His exit to vision was, in 6 months, there's a business that still is functioning that I can come back to. From that frame, now let's build backwards. What would need to be true in the business for me to show up in 6 months and it's still there and I can make money and I didn't lose everything I've worked so hard for, right? That's exactly what it is if you want to exit your business. If you want to take 4 months to go travel with your spouse, or you want to be gone 2 weeks at a time, you want to go build another business, or even if your goal is just to grow the business from where it's at right now and you can't possibly work more to make it grow, which is your current strategy of growth, it all starts with working backwards from your exit to vision, which if you didn't listen to the last episode, we covered that last episode. Working backwards from your exit to vision to today, what structure would have to be in place for us to accomplish that without me working more or without me working more than 10 hours a week?
One of the things I'm thinking about that I've seen as a common pattern, I'm curious to get your perspective on. When we design the dream team and we start with the exit to vision, I have found that it leads to better decision making when you really push the boundaries of the size of the business, the number of employees. It leads to better, more coherent decision making because you stop half measures and you actually have to commit to what would really be needed for the business to run that way, even if it's going to take some time to get there, right? We usually say the exit without selling journey on average takes 12 to 18 months, right? So it's not an overnight thing. But what I want to acknowledge here is, I'll just use an example, right? One of our clients, Jeff, recently, when we first came in, they were so struggling to get techs. It was like him and like a couple techs, and he actually had a couple more trucks than he even had techs. Like they were really in this kind of trimmed down, defeated posture of like, we can't hire great people. And what was so cool recently is we really stretched the team to go, what would it look like within a very short time frame to have 3 fully staffed crews and trucks running every night where there's no call-ins or callbacks? What would that look like starting from that frame? And what I thought was so interesting is it led to an entirely different design of the organization. And it led to much better thinking and decision making about what needed to be true and what was required to get there. There were options and obstacles and requirements that were exposed that we would not have even seen if we hadn't started from that outcome.
Yep. Yeah, and that's where you know how to run your business right now. And that is a business that relies upon you.
Yep.
So if you want to build a business that isn't dependent upon you, what does that look like structurally first? Because a lot of times we want to go right to, well, I would need to sell more and I need new ads and I would need a bigger building and
I got to hire a COO.
Buy 3 trucks. I need to hire a second in command. You start and then you go, well, I can't do all that, so I guess I won't do anything. Anyways, just another day. Let's go back to work. And instead, it's like, no, what would have to not be true for you to accomplish that, right? Let's remove false requirements because that's what all those are. They're really just if you use systems theory, right? You're removing false requirements that impede your ability to actually believe this is possible. And so that's why the Execute Vision is so powerful. It actually lets you kind of play a little bit. Let's have some fun. Like if we're at 6 million, you're currently at 2 million. At 6 million, how many jobs is that? How many techs do you need to fulfill that many jobs? Do you now need a management layer? Do we have those managers in the business right now? Okay, we need to hire someone then, right? Which one of those current people can be a project manager? Because now you don't just need management on site. You need somebody to manage all the projects and communicate with all your clients too. And so suddenly you're like the structure starts building itself out. Now what's interesting is that paramilitary organizations and military organizations are great at this. Like the United States Army, they don't go into it and go, all right, what's the strategy? They might say like, what's the actual outcome we're looking for? Then they build a command structure, a structure that supports the outcome they're looking for. So if they need a corps of engineers, like, okay, we need engineers to go build bridges in war-torn countries or build outposts or whatever that engineers are building, they build a structure to support being able to do that first. That's why like the United States military is the most powerful military in the world because of their ability to handle logistics. Logistics is a structural issue. It's not a strategy issue. Because it doesn't matter if it goes by plane, by truck, boat, those are all details to figure out later. What people need to be in place for you to get it on the plane, for you to get it on the boat, for you to get it on the truck to get there. And that's why we start with structure first, not strategy, which annoys the crap out of most people. Because people are like, just give me the strategy, man.
Tell me what to do tactically.
Yep.
Another point I want to just highlight, and then we'll talk about what do people do leaving this. I also want everyone listening to understand that the frame for this dream team is a team of leaders, not a team of doers.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, especially small businesses, or if you only have a couple employees, you disqualify yourself from that because you're like, well, we don't have a big company. I have techs or I have people who do stuff.
Yeah.
And what we'll talk about in chapters to come is how do you actually turn a team of doers into leaders? How do you actually elevate the people you have? And then identify maybe the 1 to 2 bottleneck roles that you will need to recruit a leader for, right? And you're going to need to create some financial margin for that, which is why there's things in the book that will help you do that. But I want to set that frame because I think it would be a mistake for people to go outline their structure and outline a team of order takers and task doers.
Yep.
And it's sort of like the mistake I see, one of the biggest, I think errors when people try to approach exit without selling is they have this myth in their head that it's like, if I just SOP the heck out of everything, then it'll be golden. And we've just seen over and over that's not true. Like if I would take a great dream team with very little SOPs over a mediocre team of doers that have everything SOP'd to the ends of the earth and back.
SOPs end up in Google Drives and in folders on the shelf that collect dust, and nobody ever reads them, and they never get updated.
It's not that process doesn't matter. It's just that when you bring the right people in,
they will
help you build the process
they'll even
that can
figure it out.
Run their area, that can make their area more efficient, that can enable anybody that they lead or oversee.
And that comes down to these 2 concepts that we talked about last week or in last episode is. One is business owners have this egoic need to be needed. And so how do we fix that? We give them meaningful work, right? There's 3 zones of genius. Well, they also have a need to control. Why do they have a need to control? Because they have a bunch of doers that don't have SOPs, and so they keep messing up. And So then they go, well, they're not doing it because I didn't document the SOPs. So if I just create the SOPs, if somebody could just help me get it all documented, then it would fix it. No. The solution to control is not more control. And that's all SOPs are, just to be super clear. They are control. What industries have the strongest SOPs? Ones with safety issues. Military is incredible. Command and control is so important to the military. I always joked that when I was at the police department, which was my first career for those listening, at the police department, we had policies and procedures called PMPs. We had policies and procedures that were thicker than the Bible. Why? Because if you didn't follow it and do it the same way and everybody didn't do it the same way, it'd be chaos all the time, right?
People would die.
People would literally die. In industry, you're talking about manufacturing, there's safety policies and procedures in place. And so people who are in the people business, contractors, expert-based businesses go, well, they do it the same every time. We could too. That's not the answer. Control is not the answer for reducing your need to control.
It's solving the wrong problem. It's not that you don't have to solve that problem sometimes.
Maybe at some point.
Right?
Yeah.
If there are safety issues, there are certain things where, again, like if you put the right person in place, they're going to want to put SOPs in place. And maybe they do, the right leader does need to exert a little bit of control over certain functions. Yeah. But that's not how you build a dream team.
No. The dream team, which they would be the ones leading the people who probably execute those SOPs. The dream team's not an SOP team. The dream team is who you delegate the full weight of your authority as a business owner to.
Yeah.
And some people hear delegation and go, oh, I've already tried delegation. We're not talking about delegating tasks. We're talking about delegating your authority. When someone has, and they truly believe, which is, I think maybe next episode, before we get into the execution of the dream team, I think we probably should talk about this concept of your team needs to actually believe that you've given them the authority.
Yep.
So it's not just delegating it to them. It's also them willingly receiving that authority, believing that you're actually going to trust them to run it and that they have full ownership of that. You will have your mind blown at what your team can accomplish when you actually believe they're capable of running a part of your business and then give them the authority and tools they need to do it.
And they believe that you believe it.
Yes.
I'm always shocked by, and we'll talk about this more in the Elevate Your Team chapter, but I'm always shocked by what comes out of people you wouldn't expect when you believe in them. And it sounds a little woo-woo. I know some people listening are going like, oh man, I've believed in people, I've trusted people. I know you got to have the right people. Some of us have trusted the wrong ones. We will address that too. But if you have solid people, they don't have to be superheroes, right? Solid people who you give a clear structure to, you give them a vision that's actually worthy of compelling the best out of them, and then you actually believe in them, look out. Like, look out. Your own people will probably shock and surprise you. It makes me think, again, of one of our other clients who, I mean, let me just try to say this in a way that's respectful. They are in the grimiest industry you can imagine possible, and they have probably the lowest bar historically for the type of people they will hire for these roles, humanly possible. Okay, just bare minimum. That's true. In this business, we identified one person out of all of their techs who has potential, and when I first met with this person and the owner met with them, he was very skeptical, right? Like, this guy, on paper, he would not look like a leader. Fast forward to today, it's been probably 4 or 5 months. He leads the entire operations of that business. He runs the technician team. He is literally right now, they're in a mode of hiring and onboarding techs like crazy right now. He's personally onboarding and training all of these new techs, and he's working overtime, and he's not complaining one bit about it because he's invested, because somebody believed in him, called out that potential, and gave him a structure and authority to operate within. It brought stuff out of him that honestly the owner didn't even think was in there. Yeah, and that's where tell a story on the flip side of that. Many times if you don't delegate that authority in a genuine, legit way, the opposite happens. They don't take action. Right. There's two main reasons why people, when you do want to do this delegated authority piece, which we teach you in the book, we call it the magic shoulder tap. The elevation conversation is another way we phrase it. It's the invitation to the day away. You are a part of the dream team. Come on up and join us. I'm going to give you some authority.
there's two main reasons why people don't accept that call, even after the day away sometimes. And it's these really powerful underlying concepts that everyone ignores, and it's social embarrassment and social rejection. And so in this instance with Jeff's tech, the reason why he stepped up and did that is because he believed that even if he did it and he didn't do it perfect, he wasn't going to get fired.
Yeah.
Even if he did it and he didn't do it just like the owner wasn't going to embarrass him.
Yep.
And so this comes down to like an A player issue, right? We talk about how to hire A players later in the book. Are you even worth working for? Are you the type of boss that somebody can trust that you're going to actually delegate them the authority? I have another client who we ran the day away, and there was one dream team member who was absolutely a dream team member. She runs the entire company pretty much. She is the admin side of the business, admin finance. And she was pretty quiet during the day away. Operations guys were chirping, the contractors, they're as happy as all get out, love the vision, let's go. She's quiet. Well, at the end of the day away, we figured out the first playbook to run is the opportunity recruiting funnel, which is often one of the first playbooks. And she's assigned to run it. But I recognize that she's not quite pleased with what's going on, because at the end of the meeting, we ask everybody for a number, scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst meeting you've ever been in, 10 being I couldn't imagine it being any better. Where are your numbers? All the operations, all the tech guys, PM, project coordinator, 10s. She's an 8 out of 10. It's a clue, right? So I jump on a call with her to introduce the opportunity recruiting funnel concept to her and how she's going to run this and be in charge of it. And right away, I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm picking up some hesitancy. And she's just like, I just don't think he's going to take my opinion on any of this. You can tell me about this great system you have and how it works for everybody, but I think at the end of the day, when I bring good candidates to the owner, he's not going to trust me and take my word for it. And that's where she is. It's not that she doesn't believe she can do it. It's that she doesn't believe the owner will let her do it. And if she steps into the role and says, hey, I think we should hire these 3 people, she's afraid of the social rejection that comes from the owner going, I don't care what you think. I'm not going to hire them. And so what's the point of doing all this extra work, installing this opportunity recruiting funnel, if at the end of the day, I'm just going to be rejected again? And where there's smoke, there's fire. She's probably not the only one that feels that way in that business. And so my challenge to owners is not just figure out what the structure is and who on your team might fill those roles, but also, are you actually willing to delegate that authority and trust somebody on your team to do it better than you do? I know in my insurance agency, on the commercial side, Haley on my team, I got to the point where I was just like, this is what I said to her. You don't have to run anything by me anymore. I completely trust you. If you want the feel goods of like, hey boss, am I doing good? I'm happy to answer that and tell you you're doing a great job. But otherwise, just handle it. I don't need, this isn't one of my responsibilities anymore. The commercial service side, I don't need to be involved in this. And guess what? She not only took that over, she took over like a bunch of other stuff I was doing on commercial because it was easier than asking me for it down the road. And so it got to the point where all I did was prospect and I didn't even quote new business. All I did is prospect and then close it. That's it. That was my only job. And everything else in commercial was handled. All because I said she can handle commercial servicing. She actually, at that point, believed it. And so that's the hard part, is how do you get team members individually past that fear of being either rejected or embarrassed. They stepped up on the hiring process and it didn't go well. And now the whole team knows I'm not good at what I do. And that's kind of like that's the human part of this whole process.
That's the crux of it, man. That's the organizational development piece you talked about too. And it's why I think so many times having a guide on the journey is something our clients, opt for, because there's an art and a science to this. There's tactically what you do, and then there's being able to spot the landmines before they go off.
See around those blind corners. See into the dark
blind
corners.
spots. See the stuff that isn't being said, not just what is being said.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so key. So hey, if you're watching this today, design your dream team. If you want to exit without selling, this is non-negotiable. And not just a dream team of doers, but a dream team of leaders who have delegated authority. And your first assignment, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is, we were just talking about Tom Cruise earlier. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to do the 6-month absence stress test. Actually sit down and go, how would this business have to be designed if I had to be absent for 6 months? That's my challenge to you today. Also, make sure you get the Exit Without Selling book. You can get it on Amazon. Along with that is a toolkit. It actually, in that toolkit, will have the 6-month absence stress test, and it'll have some exercises to help you design your dream team. We want to empower you and enable you. And man, it is an honor to be on your Exit Without Selling journey with you. We can't wait to see you in the next episode. See you there.
Take care. Awesome.